We are live.
Yes, we are.
Only 9 minutes late.
Only 9 minutes late. It
When you live
happened.
where I live, that's called building suspense.
Building
This is
suspense.
the French way. You're
We are
anticipating my arrival.
we are fully suspensed.
It was a little too suspensey, don't you think?
Yes.
Oh
All
boy,
right.
welcome everybody.
Welcome in, everyone.
It's going to be a
We have a
fun one today.
it will be. We have a great stream today. We're going to be talking about our brand new free Explorer accounts.
Oh, yes. How
Yes.
long have we worked on this, Lo?
Oh, almost since we've been here, almost.
Like a
But
year-ish, a bit
year?
less?
Yeah, just
Yeah,
about.
we had so much fun with this stuff. It
It was
was
so great.
interestingly, it's much more governance than it is technical to make this happen, right?
Always, when you are trying to implement a completely new product, it is always more about the human behavior, right? And the
Exactly.
communication chain than it is the actual tech or tool.
Exactly. So today, let's talk a little bit about what these Explorer accounts are, what you can do with them. And then once we know, we will just actually do all those things that we say we can do with them. And so you can see that this is not just like yet another headless CMS with Explorer accounts. No, this is actually, we are a content platform that has a bunch of incredible tooling that you also can use, right? And so the whole idea that this stuff is basically this base that we're releasing now is like free forever. And that doesn't mean we won't make other plans later on where you pay a little bit to get some more, but this base is always there and it's going to be super, super fun to use. And Contentstack is like a platform, right? And so all the tooling that's on that platform can be used on its own or it can be connected. So if you wanted to
Right.
use like our AI stuff, like our brand kit with voice, narrative things, and vector database on its own, you could. Or if you wanted to use our hosting platform on its own, you could. But of course, when you start merging, that's where the magic happens, right? That's where it
Yes.
gets fun.
When you put all the products together and you create a single organism that is fully functional is definitely, I think, where Contentstack in particular as a platform really shines.
Yeah, the magic starts to happen when you connect things up. And so before we dive in, Lo, so in your opinion, for whom is this exactly, these accounts?
So I would say one, these accounts are for anyone who is tinkering around, wanting to explore and be creative and see what they can create. But it's also a great sandbox area for testing things out. For instance, if you're building a custom app and you don't want to test that on your production space, you can grab a free account and test out your custom apps. You can test out automations, really anything on the platform. It's good for that.
Yeah.
Or if you're just learning, you want to learn new tech. Maybe you're not as familiar with DXPs or headless CMS and you want to learn, grab a free account. You can learn. We have great documentation, academy courses. You can get help in Discord. So really, it's for any kind of developer.
Exactly. It can also be like for marketers that have a bit of a technical vibe to them. And over
Totally.
time, as we mature this stuff, it's going to be also easier for like the non-developers to just get something and click around and see how cool personalization things can work and this kind of stuff. And
Exactly.
so maybe we can do a quick round of what you get, but that might actually work best if I just share my screen and show you what we get.
Yeah, and we can talk through it a little bit.
Exactly. Let's do that. So let's have a look. Well, currently I'm of course sharing my a GitHub repository, but that's not what we're starting with. Let's actually start with our Contentstack base.
Yes.
So let's have a look. So let's go to our home. And so what you get when you make one of these accounts, like I've made one, and so let's not do that in that stream because you have to wait another 2-3 minutes. So we're in. And you can see here that it's actually my Explorer account that I made a few days ago on one of my private emails here. And so you can use any email for this. We don't care if you're from some specific business or from some partner. You just use it and go.
Yeah.
And so this platform is pretty rich. You get all this stuff in this free Explorer account, right? From like it's from Headless CMS. But we also have like a personalization tool that kind of figures out how to match audiences and show different content. Then we have data and insight, which is a full-blown CDP where all your customer data can be tracked and you can do a bunch of fun stuff there. And also that you get. You don't get like the full account with all the bells and whistles, but it's very close. Then we have an automation engine. And by the way, Lo, dive in or jump in when you have anything to share here that I miss.
Yes. Keep
I
going.
just, I'm just going fast. So
Yeah.
automation, we're going to show that because that's actually super interesting. Because if you have a content platform, there's a bunch of stuff you want to be doing based on that content, right? You might want to have a certain scripts or flows, or if somebody publishes this, I want to do this, this, and this. Or if in the sidebar I click a button, some semblance of like a few steps has to run. And then based on that, I translate my page or whatever. All that you can do in automations. Then we have BrandKit, which is essentially setting up rules for our AI about what your brand sounds like. You can make voice profiles, but you also have a whole knowledge base. There's like a whole factor database where you can put all your stuff in, and then you can use that to learn how you have to write, or you can search things in it. It is really interesting. It will help you build your brand voice before automated systems. Then
Yeah,
we have
totally.
launch.
And
Sorry, go on.
I'll just add one thing about BrainKit. Like, this is really the space where, particularly if you're using AI on the platform, BrandKit is the place where you store the context of who you are and who
Yes,
you are as an organization, right? It becomes almost like your digital twin, in which that not only does it represent your voice, but it also represents it. You can put instructions in there about what isn't your voice, right? And
exactly.
the
Yes.
perspective you want, if you're creating content with AI, for instance, what you want it to do, what you don't want it to do. So
We'll show
highly
that
encourage
later.
everyone to use, yeah,
Totally. And
BrandKit.
you get that here. And like you can actually just use like any LLM agent that you have on your local machine or through whatever other system. You can connect BrandKit and you can write content based on your voice. So you don't even have to connect it to the CMS. You can just use it as your writer or whatever you want to do. Like this, the possibilities are huge with this.
Yes.
Then we have Launch, which is our hosting platform, which is as simple as that is. You can drag on a folder or you can connect your GitHub account, and it feels like, the other players in the space that do similar things. We do that too. And it's just lovely that it's connected. So I can just hit connect to my stack and I get all my environment variables for free automatically. I don't have to do anything. Well, that's fun stuff, right? Then we have our developer hub and marketplace. I'm going to put those a little bit together, even though they might not be. But like our developer hub is basically a place where you can make custom apps for on this platform. You can run any sort of app that you want, and we can host it for you on launch, or you can host it yourself. And you get access to all the APIs. So you can do whatever custom field you want to do. You can do a full page app. You can do a full stack app. You can do a dashboard app. We've seen people do the most amazing things with these custom apps, from talking to BrandKit to importing WordPress JSON files to whatever you want to do. You can just build that and then host it here. And then the marketplace is where some of those apps that we build actually are hosted, but yours can also be there if you want to, so other people can use your stuff. And so there's lots of stuff in the marketplace. We'll explore that a little bit today as well. Then we have the academy, where you can learn everything about our platform, from technical to just explaining how interfaces work, or how does personalization actually work. Like there's lots of like high level and also low level stuff. And then we have analytics, which is a very detailed view about everything on the platform. And I don't have that much content in this project, but we can have a look at analytics to show you. It always takes a second to load because there's just so much we're looking at.
Yes.
Like this one doesn't have that much yet, but you can imagine, like, you can look at your bandwidth, how many API calls, how many webhooks we're running, what the stacks are doing. And you can look at that for Automate as well, and for all these different products that we have, right? Because when you use BrandKit, you use an amount of tokens, just like you do in ChatGPT, for example. And right now, I
Right.
haven't used it, as you can see. I do have one, I just haven't used it, but we can talk about that later. And I think then we just what's left is the administration, which is
Yeah.
just setting up your webhooks and figuring out how to connect from one thing to the next. Like for example, here you can set up how your CMS is connected to your hosting, to your personalization, to our CDP. You can make one connection between different accounts, for example. It's really interesting stuff.
Yeah. And, to keep going with that, these free accounts also come with full access to all of our APIs, our
Yes.
SDKs, and our CLIs. Also, if you have a free account and you provide us feedback or about your experience, you really have the chance to sort of shape our roadmap, right? And get things on our radar to continuously improve the platform. Because we want to hear from y'all. We want y'all to have the best product possible. And one way to do that is to contribute and provide feedback.
Yeah, I think you can even. Oh, this is a direct Discord link. We also have a Contentstack community page where you can find all this stuff as well. So here you can get an account, you can join our Discord, look at our starter kits, our live streams like this one. You can find our schedule, history. There's lots of stuff here. And so
Yes.
maybe without further ado, let's have a look at one of the projects that we have, which is actually this one. This is just a little example of it. And let's grab this project. This is what we like to call a kickstart. And this kickstart is actually quite mature. It's loading the images for a second. I don't know what's happening here. And so kickstarts are really simple projects that help you to get started quickly. And it's just very simple code. What is happening? Oh, here are the images.
There it is.
It just took a second. I don't know what's happening. It might be re-rendering something. Anyways, it's all good. So this is a form of one of our kickstarts, but then a little bit more mature, giving you a little bit more stuff to play with. Like we have really nice content that was all kind of AI generated, so it's safe to use. We chose exactly what is in there. I think something's happening with those images here, but it's all good.
Yeah.
No worries. So let's grab this piece of code, put that into one of our new stacks in our new account. And then once that's set up and works, we will show you all these different things in our product that you can use. And so when you go to the GitHub for this, you can just grab it and download it, but you also need some of the content, to get all these lovely pages and all that stuff, right? To just like, for example, like I wish these images were loading. I don't know what's happening. Let's not look at that again. We'll just upload a new one. So basically, you can get started with our CLI, right? So you can install it, and then you have to just basically say, okay, I'm in the EU region in our case, and then you can authenticate with your new account that you just made, and then you can just import a repository. So I'm just going to do that now, because I think I am already logged in though. So let's have a look. So this is our CLI. Let me just zoom that in. Let's see. Who am I? Okay.
Can you
I
put the
am logged in.
terminal up, Tim?
Sorry?
Can you put the terminal on the screen?
Have I not?
Nope.
I'm looking at the terminal. Here we go.
There we go.
So I was just looking at, am I logged in? And I am actually. So what we want to do is just copy pasted this from this GitHub repository, right? So I want to seed a stack that is living on Contentstack's GitHub repo. The only thing we need is our organization ID. Well, we can find that back quite easily. So let's have a look here. So we can just go to our administration and find my organization ID. I'm just going to paste that here. And then we're going to call this like this. The dash n basically allows you to make a whole, like a new stack with a new name. So let's call this Veda live stream.
Yes.
Maybe like this. And so what this will do is it's going to grab my organization. It knows I'm logged in, right? So it knows I have the rights. And so now it's downloading that stack from GitHub. and it's going to be importing it into Contentstack. And you can see it's figuring out what can it do. It's making environments. It's now making image folders. So this one will take a second because there's a bunch of images in this project. But while that's happening, we can actually have a look at maybe just running this project, the code locally. Right, so let's just grab this. And then let's go here. Is this loading? Here we go. So let's just grab this and clone it. And let's also install it. And so you can also do this one through our marketplace, and it's just a one button click. But this specific Kickstart that's a little bit more richer, more fun, is not in there yet, but it will be soon. That's why we're doing it by hand right now. And so let's have a look at the code. And at the same time, this is not what I want to show, but here we go. Oh, I think I still don't have, yeah. So I'm learning now how to deal with my second screen. Here it is.
I forgot you got two. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to just deal with how these screens look together and all that stuff. So this is not the one I want to see now. That's this. All right, so let's have a look at how far this import is. All right, so it's actually creating assets. And you can see we've used ChatGPT to create these assets. And so that's what they're named like.
I mean, we pretty much generated the whole brand with AI. It was a lot of deep prompting. Yeah.
Exactly. So what we need to get this thing to run is actually an environment setup, right? And so we don't need AI here. Let's go one smaller. And so we just need to set our environment variables. So we can just go with .env and then just grab this stuff, put it in here. So we need to find these things here, right?
Right.
AI just did that. That's crazy. Let's not do that. Did you see? Just filled out some random stuff.
It's like, I know what this is.
Yeah, somebody has shared this sometimes. Like, okay, we don't want to see that. So basically now, let's just have a look at my stacks to see, do we actually have one? Oh, here, there's our Veda live stream. It's starting. It's been uploading assets, as you can see. Not everything is there yet. However, we can just go into the settings and see. So, okay, so it already created the environments for us. That's good. So we now just have to make a token for delivery. Let's call it development. And then so we're grabbing our main branch, go and set it to development, and we want all that stuff created. All right, so let's just copy this stuff and start putting it in here. By the way, these are all tokens just for delivery. And of course, I'm going to recycle those after the stream. So, but there's no use in stealing those anyways, because it's just hitting our cache. So I've grabbed those. However, I think I still need to turn on live preview here. Yes.
Yep.
Oh, it needs to be in the development one. All right. So I don't know how far it is now. Let's have a look.
I think you have to change the environment from preview to development too, right?
In my code, right? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, development. Right. So I think now this is still running, but it's closing in. So it's now actually, updating the entries, connecting locales to environments. It's doing a few things. And this one is taking a second because there's actually a bunch of content here for you to play with, right? So it's now publishing all the entries. But at the same time, I think now that we have this stuff set up, I think we can just run it. Let's see.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Okay, we're done. Nice. So let's have a look at this thing locally. It always takes a sec to load up. And here we go. And now the images worked instantly, by the way.
Yeah.
That was fun. And so we can explore this site. So this is basically just a product site. And all the whole brand, all the text, all the images, everything is AI generated by Lo and I, which is just super fun. This is all just going back to early 2000s stuff. And you can see this is actually a pretty rich starter kit, but the code is super simple. And we even have things like this where you can actually just facet filter things. And so this has a whole treasure trove of learning possibilities inside this. Like how do you make one of those big, navigation things, or how can you
Mega
look at,
menu.
yeah, exactly, or like look at a category for specific type of products, or just go into, I want this type of product line to look at, or I want to search in them, and or just normal pages like this. So this is just a super fun project, but there's no like shopping cart and stuff. We didn't want to go too deep. So now that we have this running, um, what we can also do is just grab and go to visual experience, because I think I turned on by default preview.
Yes.
And so now this instantly just works, right? So if we wanted to ship or like change this product, let's go to one of our editorial ones. Let's see, let's grab this one. And so that is just super nice and easy to just start working here. And you have all this to your fingertips immediately. And like all these components have like some fun stuff where you can start doing things like this or whatever you want, right? So there's a whole bunch of super cool stuff in here already.
Yeah. And what I really like about this example, right, is if you look in the code, you can see all of those CMS customizations and how they were built, and figure out how to create other customizations that you might want.
Exactly. And so we have things like lists, and these lists can reference other things. So these are now referencing specific products, but you can also just kind of like hard code a card specifically to reference something. So right, this one I can just start typing actually and do some fun stuff. So, and we can choose like a specific image here. Let's just grab this one. And so you can start making your own type of list. And so lots of fun stuff to play with. And so now that we have this base setup here with a base CMS and everything is visually editable, we'll let you figure out all the other cool stuff in the CMS. But in this stream, we didn't want to only show the CMS. There's a bunch more stuff that we can actually show here. And so
Yes.
I think, why don't we just get started with launch? Just before the stream, I actually already made a project, but we could just make a new one. And so what I wanted to show you, like you can import it from Git and just run it from there. So every time you do an update, it redeploys, but we can also just upload a file. And I wanted to show you that one today. And I made like a little zip already. And so now it just updates this. Of course, make sure to not have your node modules folder in there because that's huge.
Yeah.
So I had to remove that, make my zip file. But so this is just a simple way to show you. And so this is loading for a second because it's looking at the code and it figured out it's actually Next.js, which is super nice. And so let's add our variables here. I can just grab whatever we have here and just put it in. And so I think for this one, I don't want the live preview because this is just a hosted version. And I think we're good to go here. Ooh, that's interesting. Oh, it's not a unique project name because I already have one.
Oh, yeah. You got to change the name. Which is good. This is a type of error we really like to see.
It's interesting to at least have one. So you can go away now because it's working. Go away. It's working. Anyways, so let's let this run for a second. And so essentially now it's just grabbing that code, compiling it, and this is going to be our URL in a second. And so there's a bunch of really, really interesting stuff inside Launch that we don't have time for today. But for example, what it can do is you can give it a few URLs. And then based on these URLs, it will go all over the Edge network that we have and just bust the cache immediately. And so that means like if you have a huge amount of visitors, for example, at one point, one will find a page that wasn't cached yet. And so they have to wait for like 5 seconds for everything to wake up. And this is a system where you can give a bunch of your most important URLs and it will just make sure they're all cached for everybody immediately, even first visit. And that's like this little extra cool stuff that we have in Launch. And so let's just let this run. And yeah, let's have a look. Oh yeah, here it found them actually, the 44 URLs to prime the cache with.
Yeah, I think cache priming. Do you have the file readily
To show,
available for
yeah, I
that?
have. Here, it's this one actually. So basically, this is a little function that I've written to query all the pages that I find important. That happens on build, and then it creates this page essentially. So it just makes cache priming, and these are all the your URLs that is now basically just saved. And all these URLs, it will make sure they're always in the cache of our server on the edge networks, basically. And so it's like pinging the server so Next.js can use its cache essentially. Because if you actually look at like one of our pages, we basically do this static render for some of them at least,
Hmm.
and then we use like a way to have cached pages. You don't see that in here because it's slightly deeper into the code, but that actually works super well to do it that way.
Yeah.
Um,
And can you just talk a little bit about like why you would want to do that to a specific URL?
well, the thing is, let's say you have 1 million visitors an hour and you publish a new page. There will be all around the world on all your different edge networks, or different edges, there will be one or two people that actually hit a page that hasn't been cached before. So it has to do all the queries and go back to CMSs and other places, maybe even before that page becomes fast. Because the moment you hit it once, it sits in the cache and it's super fast. But
Right.
the thing is, while one person is hitting it and it's still rendering, if you have 1 million people visiting, there will be a lot of other people in line waiting for that cache to be created.
Yep.
So it is possible that if you are the first visitor on a new page, or there might be a bunch of them if you have a lot, that's a slow experience, and we don't want that. So your most important pages, you just want to have our system cache prime it, so it's all fast immediately. And you can see now that's actually done, because if I now go to another page, this is loading literally instantly.
Yep.
We just released this, and so it's not going to the cache at all, but this is literally instant loading. And that's what's so cool about like the slightly more enterprisey features that we give people. This is just it's literally instant. And also the images, by the way, I don't know what was going on with the other one, but here you go. And so we just deployed that. That's our URL now. As time is flying, let's just go
Yes.
over to a few other products that we can still use.
What do you
I
want to look
think
at next?
I want to go for BrandKit because
Let's do it.
that's just so much fun. And so what you can do with BrandKit, and I've actually created one already. And should we just create a new one? Yeah, why not? This is a good test to see if we can actually have multiple. I don't think we can have multiple
Yeah, I
voices.
don't know.
In the
I've never
same.
tried it.
Yeah, no, we can only have one. That's the limit of our free tier. So let's just go back. So you can have one BrandKit with a voice. And so, but luckily I already made it, so we're good to go. And so we do need to change its setting to connect to our new stack though.
Right, the stream one.
Yeah, so let's connect to the stream stack. And can I just remove the old one? Yes. Okay, cool. So basically what this thing does is you can have voice profile. So let's just open one. You can see my voice name is Veda for the brand. And it just this is the description of the homepage. It just explains what is this brand. And then there's like this communication style thing where you can go from casual to business professional. And so I just made it like casual, informative, lighthearted, and straightforward. And these are just things that we inject into the LLM so it knows how to speak. And then additionally, I've added a bunch of different insights here about how we write on our brand pages. And so currently, I've done this myself, but in the future of BrandKit releases that are coming soon, that will actually also be able to be done automatically for you. But right now, I just typed it myself. You can see because of the M dashes here that I asked ChatGPT to do it. But M dashes are correct for writing. In this case, it's perfect. And then I've also added some sample content. And so now you can basically just prompt it and say, write something in my voice here. The cool thing though is there's a knowledge fold. And so I've added a bunch of information into our knowledge fold. And in this case, it's just a text file. But these are basically all the different, here, there's a product descriptions of uneven prices. Like I've put a bunch of products and things in here. So it now knows about our products, and you can actually just search in it and it can take information out of it and do stuff with all that information. And so essentially what I could do now is actually say, well, enable the knowledge vault and say, um, created, well, write about a new product based, oops, based on what you can see in the knowledge vault. I always spell this word wrong. Let's say.
It's a hard one.
Yeah, sometimes the fingers go a certain direction.
Yeah. I learn
Right,
it I think about it as, like, know the ledge, but take the out, and then you know.
exactly. That's the thing. So you can connect this to your own API key, by the way. Whatever LLM you want to add to this, you can do that yourself. And so in this case, it's our internal one. And so it kind of just explained like something about our brand, which is pretty cool. So this is all like super specific writing to how we also write. We could put this in like here's like the new Millennium Star. It kind of fits, and it even puts
Yeah.
the price and everything. And so this is something you can use with an API, but also, and this is where we hop on to our next system, is
Marketplace.
let's go to the marketplace and install our AI assistant. And while I'm here, you can browse this. You can see there's a crazy amount of stuff you can do. You can use our kickstarts. At the same time, let me just install this and then we can browse a little longer.
Yeah, and while you're installing that, I will just say, remember when you're prompting AI, the output that you get is only as good as the instructions and the question you ask, right? And the more that context and the more it knows about you, the better your responses will be.
Exactly.
You can imagine if we had just done that prompt and we didn't give the AI any context, the output would have been significantly different and probably worse. Not probably, it would have been, because it
More
has no
likely.
idea who you are.
And now with BrandKit, it's much better. So we'll show you that in a sec. But I just clicked on apps here in the marketplace, and even on your free account, you have access to all this. So if you have, let's say, an Algolia account, you can just put this in, and the indexing will just happen automatically. Or you can actually add a sidebar widget for automations to do them on demand. So I'm just going to do that now, because actually that's what I also
Yes.
want to do in a sec. Okay, so this one was saved. Let's go back. Let's have a look at all the other apps that we have. There's just so many. From calendars to commerce tools integrations to color pickers, Cloudinary. It basically just goes on and on and on and on. It's just really interesting stuff. There's so much here you can do, and there's also like different personalization engines. So this is the thing, that Contentstack is kind of just an open platform that connects to all different types of things. So I also want to actually have the developer tools.
Yes, developer tools is a must. If you're not using developer tools currently, install it from the marketplace.
All right, so we installed a bunch of things. So let's have a look. So let's start with this AI assistant little thingy. So let's have a look at this description, right? So what you can do is you can just turn it on here, and you can say, well, I want to connect it to my Veda brand kit with my Veda voice, and then I want to optimize this for SEO. So now it takes into account the writing you already have, and it knows how it works. And then it gives us like this very specific now new thing that wasn't there before. And also, you notice that it knows it's an SEO thing for a description, so it's not too long. Like all
Right.
that is built in, and it just works like super nicely. And then yeah, you can do that in multiple different ways. Like here, you can also, let's have a look what else we do. So we can change the tone to be more persuasive, or we can translate it in another language, or we can brainstorm and figure things out, or we can make outlines, SEO tags, whatever. And this is just super fun stuff. Let's make this more persuasive. I kind of like that.
Yeah. And one of the things I really like about AI Assistant in particular, and the way that we built it, is that like not only can you use BrandKit and your knowledge vault, right? You can also tell it other context within that entry, right? So if you say, I want a summary or I want a description, you can say, base that on the body text.
Yeah, exactly. There's a bunch of that stuff. And it can also run in the visual builder as well. And we don't have it right now, but we could turn on personalization. We won't have time for that today, but you can have different variants potentially for different audiences. And then it can also know, based on the audience you selected, how to write for that audience specifically, which is
Right.
also really, really interesting. And we can even have a look. Well, we didn't set up our audiences, but you can actually see this page for different audiences as well. Let's see. So let's go back. And what do we do first? We want to do an automation thing, or should we first have a look at like the developer one we just installed?
For the developer tools, you mean?
Yeah, better to do that one now.
Yeah, let's look at that and then we'll do a quick automation.
Yeah, and so we have this, like any app can go here and you can build your own as well, by the way. And so you can actually just see this, how it would come out in the API. You can see exactly what JSON is in there, but you can also just say, well, I want to do this in, Ruby, and it will give you exactly how to query it, copy, paste, and run. And it's just super handy stuff. But if you wanted to go to, let's say, a content model, let's say for that same page thing, we can also look at it here. And now it will give us something else, right? So it will actually, generate my types, please. Oh, that's interesting. We're going to have to look at what happened there. But generally, it would generate my types based on whatever it's seeing here. And that's actually super cool stuff and super handy if it had worked. But normally it does.
Yes. But we're live and that happens.
So let's have a look at what this automation stuff actually means. So let's go back to that entry, because there's two types of automations that we have. We have them in the sidebar where you can do them on demand. So you can just click a button here and it will just do stuff with your content. And so we can actually have a look at some of those recipes. And the one I thought that was actually kind of interesting for now, because I don't have an AI API key set up. This one is actually without AI. And so this one is, when I click the button, it adds the information of my page into our knowledge vault. And that's actually could be super handy, because in BrandKit, you might not want to put all your content. You only want to put stuff in that's actually important to shape your voice, right? And so you don't want to just by default put anything you have in your stack in there. And so sometimes you just want to make a new page and you feel like, hey, this describes how I want to say things. So let's just add it to the fold here. And so I can just install this one. Let's have a look. So I want it to be in an on-demand automation, sure. And so now it gives you the steps, but it's not configured yet, because there's all these API keys and things you have to do. And so let's select our live stream stack. Sure. Let's test the trigger. So this is just whatever the latest thing was that we published. It's just now in the test here. So you can see this is the data of the stuff we just published. All right, so this trigger is working. Well, let's have a look at this one. So what do we need to do? So it needs to have a brand kit. So we can actually just, I think we can just do it here. And I already set up a brand kit for this account, which is good. And so let's grab this one. And then it just adds the title basically for now. You can also add the body or whatever you want. You can add anything to the knowledge vault. And so, well, let's go back to that entry. Let's refresh this page. See if all the automation is there. That's interesting. Oh, wait.
Did you make it live? Okay.
No, that makes sense. Here we go. And so now we can just, well, it's the title, right? So let's do this. I'm not sure I should have done it that way, but here we go. Let's add this to our knowledge vault. Now we can have a look in BrandKit. And go to our knowledge vault. And is this the one that I think that's this one. Oh yeah, there it is.
There it is, yeah.
We just added this now to our knowledge vault. Like, this is a super simple example, of course, but you can do a bunch of stuff like this that is really interesting. And we can, of course, also do other types of automations.
Yeah,
Like
and
for
just real quick about that, adding things to your knowledge vault. Like Tim said, you don't want to add everything, but you really want to think about the content that you're adding to the knowledge vault as more of, is this a cornerstone piece of content? Meaning, does it speak to exactly who our org is or our product lines? Something that is really almost static, right? There can be some changes, but it is a cornerstone. It is a pillar of your organizational like content ecosystem.
exactly. And so now I just already started. Like I made an automation that when something is published, we share in Slack that somebody published this. So now I can say, let's choose a trigger. So I think I just have to find an entry trigger, and we select entry published
Published, yeah.
on which stack. Oh, that's interesting. It, oh, wait, I have to select an account, I think.
Yeah.
There we go. Oh, yeah, this is the all-out thing. Yes, yes to everything. Yes, you can read everything. And so as you can see, we have internal OAuth that connects between all our products, which is actually very, very important that we have it that way. And here's our live stream. Cool. So, well, now this was the final one that we published, right? With all the weird stuff I added. Sure. So now what I want to do is now that we have hooked into, okay, if something is now published, well, let's add an action step to Slack. And so I want to send the message, and I have to add a new account. So I want that to be my Contentstack Slack. Allow. You see, we have the whole OAuth thing basically implemented here. And so I want to do it and send it to, I think I have a channel called, I don't know if I have to add the hash. I think it works like this. And so now I want to actually grab some data from my triggered post, and I just want to do, what should we do? The title, just for now, the title.
Yeah, just the title.
Or maybe also, if there's an image, that would be fun. Is there an image URL?
It looks like, yeah, data URL.
Okay, let's do this. And so proceed, test. So it just sent this actually. Oh, I think it already works. Let me just open my Slack. I will share it once I see it. Oh, here we go. So there's my title. There's my image. And so let's do another one. So let's activate this, of course. Let's just go to an entry. Let's go for this one. Let's make a change. This is not the most meaningful change, but you know what I mean. Okay. Did that now just work? Oh, so this one doesn't have an image, but it has a title.
Yes.
And of course, we're showing you like the simplest stuff, right? But just imagine all the stuff you might be able to do. Let's say if we wanted to, if I deactivate this and I want to add a new step and say an action, look at all the actions you have access to. Like there's an incredible amount of stuff you can do, right? From push your WebSockets to PubNub to a sub automation that you create or deploy to Vercel or do a Travis CI step, or we even have stuff where you can store this in a data store locally in Contentstack, and then in another step you might be able to extract it from that data store and then do other stuff. Yep. You can write JavaScript in here. Like I tend to actually make all my APIs that I build fire off an automation, then does a bunch of JavaScript inline, and then it just returns something. I think, can I just?
Yeah, try it out.
I don't know where to find that though. Where is it? Code block. And so now I can just do a code block and I can just, this is just JavaScript. I can basically do everything here. And so now it says hello world. And of course, this is not exactly what you want to be doing, but you can, you can do a ton of stuff here. Like I've made API calls here. I've whatever I want to do, morph some data from the one place to the other. There's lots of stuff you can do. But you can also just do a normal fetch, I think, or is this called HTTP?
HTTP. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can just call any place with anything. And then you can add headers, query parameters, error stats, whatever you want to do. And so this is basically a very, very strong tool that you can use for all your kind of scripting you have to do based on your content. And of course, when we come out with our agent OS, all these become MCP tools to your agent. And so you can just build whatever you want and you control it, and your agent can just fire them off whenever you want. What's also
Totally.
cool is that an agent can build these automations because it knows about, our APIs or connectors, whatever. You can make these automations yourself by asking it, the agent. So there's lots of that stuff as well. And so we're reaching now to the 45-minute point. We
Minute.
started a
Yeah.
little late. Is there anything specific we should go into? Because we don't really have time to do a lot of like personalization stuff. But what do you think, Lo? I haven't received
Um,
questions yet from the audience. Maybe that's something. Don't think we have many, right?
no, we don't.
No comment.
But maybe we can dive a little bit into the CLIs and SDKs,
Yeah, sure.
or
How about I just show the code a little bit? Like, oh, you know what's an interesting one? We can actually show that in the CLI. Let me just remove some stacks here. So how about I just remove this one? So we can actually, let's just remove both. And now we can actually show you how fast you can get started from the CLI to make a stack into your account, right? So now this is empty essentially. So let me just go to the CLI, and we don't need this one. So this is again our CLI, so we can see who you are. Are we logged in? Yes. Okay. So what you can do is this: content management, bootstrap. And so when you're bootstrapping, you can actually choose what starter kit you want to use. So I want to just go with the standard Next.js, and let's not do it in the current folder. Let's actually just do it in Stream. I want live preview and I want to install everything. Sure. And so enter stack name, Stream. And so now what this is doing is it's grabbing one of our starter kits stack, puts it onto my organization, just like we did in the beginning of our stream. But it does a bunch more now because it also grabs the code from GitHub and runs it locally and adds your local variables that you need to actually make it work. And so now it's installing with npm. And now let's have a look. Oh, let's do localhost though. So the first start takes a second, but here we just have a kickstart. This literally just worked. This was probably under a minute. And so when I now hit edit, it actually goes and, oh, I just have to enable it. Oh, that's a pity. That would have been the most smooth live preview. Enable. There we go. There we go.
There we go.
Okay, let's do that again. Let's go to the local host and click edit. There we go. And so this code base was just really quickly set up for you, and all this just works. And so we can actually have a look at what it just created for us. So it made it in the stream directory. So let's have a look what we just got. Here, there's my kickstart next. And so let's turn that off for a sec.
Yes.
So you got environment variables that are completely set up for you by the CLI already. And so soon you will always also have the ability to do this with that Veda kickstart that we looked at before. But that one is so new that we didn't have it in here yet. But look, it just made you like a fully annotated source code. Thank you, Lo, for all the annotations here, because that's a lot of work.
Annotations are important.
They're important, and they explain what you can do. And so this code is basically this contentstack.ts library file creates you your stack. It creates you a live preview initialization script, and it gets you a page with our SDK with that set stack, and that's it. And so without all those extra annotations, this is like a 50 liner. And this
Yeah.
is basically the core of how it works, right? So in your page, you if you're in live preview, you use a use effect because it's in the client side, and it just listens to entry changes, and then it gets the content, which is a function that sets the state. And so this get page function is always called every time you change it, right? So when we go here and I do this, it actually now synced, and this is now what the SDK outputs. And so the fact that this works is actually just maybe it's even easier to show. If I just go to the entry editor, for example, and we look at live preview, it's interesting why this is. It was working before. I think what this I know what this one is. We have set this one to builder. Anyways, it doesn't really matter for now. So what this thing would do is you can just see it save it. And so basically what happens is the moment you turn on live preview, then the stack starts loading stuff from a different endpoint. So it loads it from our preview SDK or from a preview API endpoint. And if you're not in live preview, it doesn't do that. And so it's kind of taken care of for you in this code. And so has been a bunch of people like asking how we can do the live preview. How does it work? Well, now I just have to say, grab a kickstart, look at the code. It's very little. It's all annotated, and it kind of just works. And so the other entry into this is you can also go to our marketplace, and then you grab starters. And let's in this case do a Nuxt one. So I want Nuxt normal. I hit import. So it now does an OAuth against my own app, against my stack, and say, okay, I want kickstart Nuxt stream. And now you can do that whole thing that we just did in the CLI. It's now doing for us in an interface. And so there's, for everybody who wants to do it a certain way, we gave you the tools, right? You can do it fully by hand, like we did the first one. You can do it with the CLI bootstrap to be basically running in a minute. And now you can do it from here. And this one takes a little longer because it automatically deploys it also on launch for you.
Launch.
Exactly. I just have to check though, if I don't already have a launch project, because we have a few limits, of course. Let me just remove that so we're sure. You see, there's already two. So this one will fail. So I'm just going to remove them for now. So what you see here is that you have the opportunity to really touch everything in our platform. There are just a few limits. But that's important, right? Because we're literally giving you the keys to the, how do you call this? The F-16.
Something like that.
But this is worth an incredible amount of money that you're like, you get all the fanciness essentially. And so we kind of just, you get it all, but scaled down. All right, so let's put it in my own GitHub. Let's make it private though. It's for the Nuxt stream. It found out it's Vue.js, which is cool. It already pre-filled everything that we need.
All your environment variables.
Oh yeah, it's here. Okay, so clone and deploy. And so now it's cloning it from GitHub and now putting it on launch. So this is basically, you see, this is actually the launch product that we see here. So this essentially just creates this really cool URL. And so it means if you make your own project and you want to deploy it on launch, you can just make a little button that has all these variables in it, and it will just pop you up this screen essentially. And so this kind of stuff is what Lo and I worked on to make sure that we have these developer accounts and they all work, that all the products kind of work together to be able to do this kind of fun stuff.
And it also depends on like what you're trying to do first, right? Like if you know that you're just doing local development for a while, it really makes sense to maybe just use the CLI method, right?
Yes.
And then you can deploy to launch later. Or if you're a person who really just likes to have everything done all at once, you can do this method.
Exactly. And there will be more starter kits on our marketplace that are basically just plug and play like this. So you can explore a little more. You don't always have to be like a diehard developer to use this stuff. And so, okay, so this build is now successful. So now this takes a second because it's putting it on all the Edge endpoints in the world. And then once that's done, we can have a look. And I'm thinking, Lo, we're reaching our time limit anyway, so this would be the perfect ending to see that this URL actually works. So we're going to give it a sec.
Yes, I agree.
So while we wait for this, if you wanted to try this stuff yourself, you can go to community.contentstack.com. And before, this would put you directly to Discord, but now you have this page. So you can, look at the documentation for these Kickstarts, for example. You can join the Discord. You can make a new account here. You can check out our live stream backlog. There's all these academy links, tutorial guides, documentation, all the stuff you want. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok if you want to, because why not? Yeah. Also, we are doing memes because we like that stuff. And you see, there's all this documentation here as well. And it's kind of just this, even for this simple code, we decided to like really go deep on the doc so you can really understand it. And everything also has like a little video. So you can really learn and follow along with the way that you like to learn. Either you read or you watch videos. And there's all these different ways to like look at it. Okay, so I have a middleware. How does it work then? Or I want to use GraphQL. How does it then work? Like there's all these different approaches. And at the same time, we just finished. How about that?
Let's view it.
So let's first view the website. So we just did this Kickstart Nux stream at contentstackapps.com. So this is now my hosting platform, and it just works, and it's really fast. You can open the stack that it just created. So we can see our entries, we can see the images, and we can, of course, visually edit this thing as well. It just created this whole thing for us. And this visual editing is actually also connected to this launch URL that it just did for us. What else do we have? We can open the launch project, so we can have a look at how the settings came to be. So this is our Nuxt stream project. And so we can actually see how the variables were set up. We can see deploys, whatever we want, all the things. And we can and this also made a GitHub repository on my personal GitHub.
Yes.
So now you have the code in GitHub directly, and you can do whatever you want with it. This is a lovely starting page for any Nuxt project, for example. I think that's what I wanted to show today.
Yeah, I think that's really all we have time for. But thanks everyone for joining.
More. Anyway, sorry. Yes, thank you for
joining. I was going to say, thank you for joining. Please sign up for a free account and join the community. You can go to community.contentstack.com. We're in there. Tim and I are in there. We'll be happy to chat with you, talk through things. Let us know how it's going, how your experience has been. But yeah, we're in there. Thank y'all so much for coming. We'll talk to you soon. And probably next stream, we will take this a step further and go into things like personalized and data and insights, and maybe a few other surprises.
There's so much coming, like also a lot of open source things we're going to do. We want you to contribute as well. Like we are in step 1 of 15, I think our plan is.
Yes.
There's a whole bunch of fun stuff coming.
It's just the beginning.
Exactly. All right. Thank you, everybody. And let's try our new video, Lo. We're going to try our new video.
Let's do it. Yes. Fresh from the rebrand.
Oh, wait. I should not do it as... I was fancy. We had to do it. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And we'll see you hopefully soon next time. Cheers.
Take care, everyone.